Welcome to Small Business, Big Network, the podcast for small business owners who want big results from their networking. I'm Liz Drury, a freelance voiceover artist who knows that if you're not working, then networking could help. Amanda Coulson is the CEO of SVC Solutions, a company which offers recruitment, HR, training and health and safety services. Amanda is also a coach and offers workshops in networking. Welcome to the podcast, Amanda. Thank you for being my guest today.
Oh, pleasure. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Now, you're a recruitment professional and a business owner for over 25 years, but how did you get started? What's been your career path?
Oh, quite interesting, really. I've been in recruitment for over 30 odd years now, and I've worked for some big nationals. I've worked within IT recruitment, and one of the things that used to bug me was the candidate side. You know, how it's such a personal thing looking for a job that, you know, just sending a CV and sending CVs over to clients wasn't my thing. So I came up with the idea of working. My intention was just to work on my own and just sort of offer something a little bit different. So in 1999, I did start completely on my own. And I think I underestimated how long I'd been in recruitment and how quickly I would gain new clients coming on board. So SVC, it took off very quickly. So within 9 months, I'd smashed any business plan that I had set. I know, it was incredible. And then I decided, you know, I've got to take a couple of people on to help me, and it literally just grew and grew. And from that, I then knew how closely connected human resources, health and safety and training were. So I set up that as well. So we became SVC Solutions. So basically we provide all those services as support to clients and candidates alike. So I'm really happy that even after 20 odd years that we're able to stick to my why and my purpose as to why the business started in the first place. So I love my job, Liz. I'm very lucky, you know, to be able to enjoy what I do. So I'm now surrounded by people. Before COVID, I had built it up to about 35 staff, and then COVID sort of came as a bit of a shock to all of us. So I'm now sort of running at about 15. But all my long-serving people are, you know, lots of people have been with me now for over 18 years. So it's lovely. Yeah. It's really nice.
So what does SVC stand for?
Well, it actually doesn't stand for anything. It's when I set the business up, and like I said, I was on my own. I rented a really small office near my house, and I lived in the Stour Valley. So it was Stour Valley Consultancy. And then as the business grew and developed, I just kept the SVC element of it because it means something to me. So. Yeah, it doesn't mean anything to anyone else, but it means something to me.
So you mentioned some of the strands to your business. I believe the sort of 4 main strands that you have. What kind of percentage time do you spend on each of those different parts of the business?
Well, it's all changed very much since COVID. So before COVID, I'd probably say it's a big split between training and recruitment. So 50-50 for me on those two services. HR and health and safety, I've got consultants who work with us and have done for many years now, who've trained and become experts in their field. So they pretty much look after those two businesses for me. I work with them, but they don't need me as much or so much.
And so who are your clients? What kind of businesses do you work with and work for?
So we've really got a very varied, although we're based in Essex, we actually cover the whole of East Anglia and beyond actually. So we have anything from the small businesses, mainly small to medium sized businesses who need to dip in and out of support when they need it. So rather than recruit within and they've got that constant overhead in their business, they're able to come to us, get what they need, and then they might not need us again for a few months. Then we've got much smaller clients who they outsource their HR and health and safety to us, so we're their sort of business partner on that side. And then the bigger, more blue chip companies use us as one-off projects mainly. So, and any industry, that's what I love about it. We cover most industries.
Well, it's nice to have variety, isn't it?
Yeah. I think that's why I love it, because you don't know what you're dealing with one minute to the next. And I've got this sort of requisite in the business, and everybody knows it, that you meet every client and you meet every candidate, because you can't work with someone if you don't know them. So you do get a sort of capacity sometimes, because with the best will in the world, you want to help everyone. You can't water yourself down so much that, you know, you can't deliver what you say you're going to. So it's a bit of a balancing act. Really.
Yeah. So when it comes to the recruitment, what kind of level jobs are you recruiting for, or is it all kinds of levels?
It is all kinds of levels. So we do temporary recruitment, so people that just want a part-time job or don't want to commit to a permanent job, from warehouse packers, drivers to office admin, right through to recruiting for managing directors, senior engineers. It is completely varied. So we have experts within our business. So we have a technical recruitment consultant, and she loves those industries and that type. So we specialise as individuals.
And what about apprenticeships? I see a lot of those being advertised at the moment. Do you recruit apprentices as well?
No, it's something I've never really got involved in, because it is a real art form. We do train apprentices on our training business, but we will help clients to get on board to take on apprentices, because I think and more so now, it is crucial. So we'll help them, but we don't do it ourselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I know that you're also a trained executive coach. How did that come about?
Yeah, I had a coach myself when I first started the business, and he was amazing. And I look back on those years and think, wow, you know, I couldn't have probably done as much as I've done without his advice and his support. And sadly, he's not around anymore. And he passed away. I'd worked with him for about 2.5 years, and he passed away. But the impact he had on my life, not just my role as a CEO, but, you know, just generally, was so vast that I got passionate about it and retrained myself. So I became qualified quite a few years ago now, to just be able to help other people that were in the same position as me. I love that. I'm very passionate about it. I think everyone should have a coach.
And so what kinds of help and support do you provide to your coaching clients?
Yeah, so anything to do with their growth, their career path, their development, but also if they're in a senior role, as in a managerial role or CEO or MD role, it can be very lonely. And you know, you've got cash flow pressure on you, budget controls, and just generally it's hard to actually share that information in your business with your team. Whilst I believe in showing some vulnerability, you can't show it all. So it's you're mainly there as a sounding board. And you know, it's not like training where you train in a specific thing. This is more about giving people options and being there for them. And saying, that there's various different paths you can take, but they primarily own it. It's just having that buddy and that person who's been there, done it, and it's that. Mainly.
And what kinds of industries are those clients from?
The people that tend to coach on the business side are probably larger companies, because they've got the budget to do it, which makes me a little bit sad, actually, because the ones that really need it, the ones who are starting out, like I was way back then, and so what I offer is for those companies is, look, let's get together for an hour, see how we get on with each other, not charge them, and I try to sort of give them a bit of a leg up to start with, and then if we start working together further down the line, then great. So primarily it's mainly the larger companies that do it, but I do have some small to medium-sized businesses that, and again, I can only take so many people.
Yeah. What kind of difference do you see the coaching making to the people and to their businesses?
Oh, it's one of the most rewarding things I do, really, because confidence is the main thing that you see. You see them grow in confidence and knowing that what they're going through, they're not the only person in the world that's going through that. And it's particularly during these COVID times, because I've been through recessions over the years, but nothing like this. Yeah. So even this was a shock for me, and for them to see them believe in themselves again and get back to why they do what they do and start to love it again. That is probably the biggest thing that I see. And I've got people I was coaching 10 years ago who are doing so well now, and they keep in touch with me. And it's really, really lovely to see. But it is mainly confidence, because even if you're a CEO or business owner or an MD, we are only human. So, I think everyone has a high expectation of us, and sometimes it's just good to talk to somebody else who's been there, really.
Yeah. And are you seeing at the moment that people and businesses are having real issues with the cost of living going up, and is that affecting how businesses are running, how they're recruiting? What sort of trends are you seeing?
Yeah, I think there's been so many things, Liz, hasn't there? We've gone through Brexit, COVID, then the change now, Prime Minister, we go, the cost of living, the everything it's just so over and over and over and over and over again. And I think the biggest impact it's having on businesses is recruitment, finding good skill sets for their business. And I think generally I do a lot of work on this, and right across the country, even beyond us, people are really struggling. I mean, I'm recruiting for a company in Romania at the moment. They're really struggling to find the good skills, and I think from a candidate's perspective, if they're in a steady job, they're very nervous to move because of the cost of living. So it is I'm really hoping, I was listening to the news this morning and they're saying they are going to be doing something about it. I really hope they do.
Yeah, I think we all hope they do.
Yeah.
So let's turn to networking now then. So how do you personally use networking within your business?
So again, I've always done it from the get-go with the business. I've been part of the very early breakfast ones, to the evening ones, to the golf days, to the, not that I play golf, but, or badly anyway. And I'm a big believer in it. It did stop over COVID, the face-to-face networking, because obviously it had to. So it all sort of started to go online. And whilst online has its place, I think generally now everyone I'm speaking to is craving that face-to-face networking contact again. So again, I retrained myself, and I've become a trainer in training people on effective business networking. So because I think I don't know if you feel the same, but to go to a networking event and think you're going to win business is definitely not the way.
No.
It's not what it's there for.
No.
And I think a lot of people had an expectation on themselves that they were going to go to a networking event and come away with a new client. It just doesn't work that way.
No.
So, and neither should it, because for me, it's about building a community.
Yeah.
And being part of a community. So that's how I very much train it, and it's also confidence, because a lot of people are quite nervous.
Yes.
About walking into a room full of people they don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me something about the training workshops on networking that you run. What kind of format do they take, and what do they cover?
It makes me smile, because I have just recently delivered one, and it's everyone's very nervous to start with. So we spend the morning understanding what networking is, and understanding what networking isn't.
Yeah.
So we spend some time looking at that and really delving into that. And then we spend some time on looking at the differences between face-to-face networking and online networking, and how your profile looks online, because it's very, very important, how we portray ourselves online. So we spend the morning doing that. And then in the afternoon, and this does shock them, they came back from lunch and they sat in the same seats they've been sitting in all morning. And I said, we're not sitting down this afternoon. and they were, and I know what they're thinking. Oh my God, we're going to do role play. And everyone hates that word. Everyone hates that word. So I try to, we do like a workshop in the afternoon where we take scenarios of different groups. So there's a group of 3 people chatting. How do you interact with that? How do you interrupt that group? How do you leave a group without coming across rude?
Yeah.
What do you talk about?
Yeah.
How do you introduce yourself? Then we do groups of 3, groups of 2. And then from there we move it into with all the delegates, and I do bring some guests in as well sometimes, and we literally start to network.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of laughs with it, because the challenge is to find out 3 personal things about the person that you're speaking with. So it's not about you telling people what you do. It's about listening to the other person, and understanding, why they're there, what they've come for, and it's all about communication and building relationships.
Yeah.
Their nervousness, because as a trainer I don't stand in the room and watch them. I participate, so I do what they're doing.
Yeah. So
they feel more at ease, because I'm prepared to sort of look silly as well. and it's just good fun.
Yeah. So, and who are the workshops aimed at? What kind of people, what kind of businesses?
Yeah, so again, it's normally it's sales teams is a big one. So anyone who's within a sales team that has to, because everyone's struggling now who finding online networking. They might have done face-to-face networking before COVID, but have lost their confidence. So it's anyone who's got a sales team that is on the road, has to lead generation, have to create leads. That's where the most of the clients come from. But there's also management, leadership, and it falls under the leadership and management, because as a leader we need to be seen, and we need to be interacting with our community. So we get those people as well. Yeah. So it's a real mixed bag.
So what would your top tips for networking be?
Right. So firstly, it would be to look at yourself, look at your profile, what are you giving off as a professional? Who are you? You know, what do you want your personal brand to be? So it's firstly look at your personal brand. Then it would be to set your expectations realistically and ask yourself, well, why am I doing it? Am I doing it just to fire a load of bullets out there and get as many contacts as I can? But that in my eyes is not the answer, because you've got to deliver what you say you're going to deliver, and build your community. See it as building your community, because that person you're speaking to in that networking event might one day be your employer.
Yeah. Might
one day be a customer. You just don't know. So, and that's what makes it so exciting. So, and work on your confidence. Don't go in there unless you're confident and you've had professional networking training, because it does make such a difference.
It definitely does. Thank you very much for being my guest, Amanda. If people want to find out more about SVC or your coaching or your networking workshops, how can they find you?
They can find me on our website, which is svcsolutions.co.uk. There is a call to action on there, so they can message me and the message will come to me direct. It's not a problem. Or they can email me or pick the phone up. I honestly don't mind.
Lovely. Well, thank you very much, Amanda, and best of luck with all your business endeavours and, of course, with your networking.
Thank you, Liz. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Small Business, Big Network. If you found this podcast useful, please do rate, review and subscribe. And don't forget to share it with the rest of your network too.